Moving on to Asian news. An American-made anti-Islam film has led to angry protests in the Muslim world. A Pakistani minister has offered $1,000 bounty for the death of the American filmmaker. Railway Minister Ghulam Ahmad Bilawar claimed that he would use his own money for the bounty to complete sacred duty. The Taliban and Al-Qaeda were also eligible to receive the bounty. His Awami National Party stated that his statements was not a party policy, but rather his own personal statements. A State Department told BBC that Bilawar's announcements was inflammatory and inappropriate, and has associated his statements with the government. Over 20 people died on Friday in clashes in cities throughout the country, and hundreds more have been injured on Saturday in Bangladesh capital in clashes between police and demonstrators. US citizens have been urged not to travel to Pakistan. The US Embassy also broadcasted the advertisements of Presidents Barack Obama and Secretary of State Hillary Clinton condemning the film. A week-old giant panda cub has died at Washington, D.C.'s National Zoo on last Sunday, with the cause of its death not immediately apparent. Panda keepers and volunteers heard sounds of distress from the cub's mother, Mei Xiang, on Sunday morning. The veterinarians were notified immediately and performed CPR and other life-saving measures, but were unsuccessful. The cause of the cub's death was still a mystery. The cub weighed just 100 grams and had no obvious signs of trauma or infection. The 14-year-old mother, Mei Xiang, was loaned from China to Washington in 2000. The dead cub was her second born after 5 failed pregnancies. Her first cub, Taishan, is now living at China Conservation and Research Center for the giant panda in Wulong National Nature Reserve in Sichuan Province. Top Chinese official Zhou Yongkang made an unannounced visit in Afghanistan on last Saturday and signed a range of security and economic cooperation agreements. Mr. Zhou was the first top Chinese official visiting Afghanistan since 1966. The two sides signed security and economic cooperation agreements, with deals aimed at bolstering Beijing's influence ahead of a NATO withdrawal of most combat forces by 2014. The agreements also included a deal that China will be training, funding as well as equipping the Afghan police. According to BBC, the talks between Mr. Zhou and President Hamid Karzai were highly confidential. All the details were not issued until Mr. Zhou left the country. In June this year, President of Afghanistan visited Beijing, and both countries decided to upgrade bilateral relations to strategic partnership. According to China's official Xinhua news agency, Zhou said in the statements, it is in line with the fundamental interests of two peoples for China and Afghanistan to strengthen a strategic and cooperative partnership, which is also conducive to regional peace, stability and development. Now moving on to sports news. The Silver Ferns coach Waimarama Taumanu was not happy with the errors that cost him a clean sweep against the Australian Diamonds in the Constellation Cup.
The Diamonds beat the Ferns 59-53 at Christchurch's CBS Canterbury Arena, avoiding a clean sweep which would have been a first in the Ferns' history. Silver Ferns coach Taumanu was disappointed as the loss was a result of a lack of focus and unforced errors. The performance of the Kiwis in the first and fourth quarters was totally opposite to the second and third quarters. They scored 38 goals in the first and fourth quarters, but in quarter 2 and 3 they could only manage 15 goals to the Diamonds' 32. Despite the Ferns' loss, they had already secured the 3-game Constellation Cup series by winning the first 2 tests.
New Zealand Olympian Nikki Samuels won the South Korean Triathlon Union World Cup event over the weekend, giving her a real boost ahead of the grand final in Auckland next month.
Nikki Samuels finished in 2 hours 1 minute and 51 seconds, just 9 seconds ahead of Pole Maria Sesnek, with Japan's Yuka Sato finishing third 30 seconds further back. Another New Zealander, Rebecca Kingsford, finished a credible 7th against tough opposition as she builds her career. When the event reached the final run leg, Samuels had a 1 minute 45 seconds lead at the start. She immediately pulled away from Korean Yoon Young Yang and then held off the hard-charging Sesnek. Samuels was happy she managed to stick with most of her race plan, though she hoped for a better swim time. The World Series of Triathlon's grand finale will be held in New Zealand for the first time during October.
A controversial red card and late penalty cost unlucky Liverpool in the Premier League game after weekend against Manchester United at Anfield.
Brendan Rodgers' Liverpool side is now sitting near the bottom of the table, still without a victory after 5 games, their worst start in 101 years. The turning point of the game was the red card given to Shelvey in the 39th minute, which reduced Liverpool to 10 men. The only debate was whether United's Johnny Evans should also have received a red card after his reckless challenge. Steve Gerrard scored the opening goal just after half-time, but Raphael equalised 5 minutes later. Robin van Persie finally ended United's penalty drought to secure the win and the 3 points. Liverpool made all the running despite only having 10 men, and United were very fortunate to get any points, let alone all 3.
Now moving on to Happy Diner, introducing and reviewing your favourite restaurants in Auckland.
Ni hao and kia ora WTV, and welcome to our seafood restaurants.
Today Happy Diner will bring you a rich amount of seafood, cold dishes, hot dishes and desserts. The first dish is fresh and plump New Zealand oysters with caviar and champagne foam on top. The second dish is also a cold dish with sweet shrimp, tuna fish, tataki and smoked salmon. Every one of them has a special made sauce which made the food taste even better, bringing out the original sweetness of seafood. The exquisite artistic sense of wobble plate is fully demonstrated by the chef's creativity. It's hard to take a bite out of this piece of art.
Today the seafood in front of me does not require complicated methods and materials to cook. Their will is to use the simplest way to cook seafood to bring out the sweet and fresh taste.
So what we like to do here in the kitchen is just to create simple flavours from the sea, cooked well and presented in a way which makes people go, wow. And that's exactly, I think, what we've portrayed on the dishes that we've cooked for you this evening.
Wait, the best of tonight is yet to come. The third dish is a hot dish. My eyes are glued to the dish at first glance. With a huge whole lobster, the side dishes also make me excited. Mussels, squid, tiger prawns, scallops, snapper and clams. It just keeps my mouth watering.
Hey guys, I think you can see that what kind of big seafood feast I'm having tonight. The combo does not only include the whole huge lobster, there are also fish, oyster, tuna, salmon and scallops, etc. These are the richest and most popular New Zealand seafood. I believe you can also see our background. This restaurant faces the Mission Bay area sea view. You can also view the Auckland's night view and sky tower. While viewing the beautiful night view and eating such delicious feasts, I will start eating now.
So we've decided to split our seafood platter into 2 courses, a cold course and a hot course, which is the big the crayfish platter. We've decided to do this to make it a little bit more exclusive. It's value for money. It's a really it's a different wine to match each plate. And also the idea is not to feel too rushed when you come in for it, just to come in and have a romantic night, relax, enjoy and just take your time.
Our food is all local produce from around New Zealand, sourced freshest of fresh, and our highly skilled chefs are very creative and amazing, spectacular platters.
It is often said that girls have 2 stomachs. One is for normal food and the other one is for dessert. Despite the fact I have just finished a whole seafood plate, but when I see this dessert trio, chocolate and contro tart, blackberry yogurt panna cotta and banana and toffee pudding, how can I resist?